What's going on, everyone? And TCG here, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about where do we go from here. So hopefully the video works. It didn't work last night because I was rushing, but Surging Sparks booster boxes are now well over 170, 175. Now this 163 is just a bunch of loose packs. Let's just take a quick look here. So you're 173.49. I would imagine we're going to be at this spot for a little bit here. We're obviously above MSRP. There's a bunch of, well, I should say a bunch. There's a little bit of product on eBay, but between eBay and TCG Player, there's not a whole lot of product. There's really not. Let's go back here real quick. Look at the number of boxes listed, 485, but there's one seller that had close to 200 boxes. 145 for Trading Card World at 180. So, you're talking 300 boxes here, max. Pikachu EX, the hyper rare, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, the pull rates got super difficult. It seems like Pokemon Center is actually trying to make people care about them, if you will. Pikachu EX, the big auction hasn't ended yet, but I mean, we're sitting right at $600 on these, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. 127 of these, 19 sold today. There's 20 for sale. That's basically 1 day of supply, and the numbers are getting absolutely crazy. The question is where do we go from here? So, part of the beauty of this industry is guesstimating or forecasting what happens next. So, heard rumblings of a March 2025 reprint. Now, that was in one of the overseas YouTube channels. Have not heard anything in the U.S. As I mentioned last night, we did hear specifically from PhD that they have zero information on any reprint of Twilight Masquerade, which leads to, something I've mentioned multiple times and some of the other folks in the industry have, is that there's just so many products. There's not enough time and not enough room in the printer to get reprints out. We just saw a reprint of Paldea Evolved, a little bit of Temporal Forces, a lot of Paradox Rift, SV Base. I've reprinted, called 6, 7, 8 months ago. Obsidian Flames has been kind of a garbage product up until recently, hasn't had the need. So there hasn't really been enough, enough demand. Stellar Crown's still available. So I think the situation with Surging Sparks completely caught the Pokemon Company off guard. I don't think they had any indication that this set was going to be as hot as it is. And I think the print runs were relatively tight, and off we go. There's so much pent up demand for this stuff, and the stars kind of aligned with everybody refocusing from Sword and Shield to Scarlet and Violet. So with no new product coming, and by the way, one of the distributors who came out with Wave 2, we ended up with 400 boxes from them. They offered us 2 boxes at $125 a box in the second wave. So the Wave 2's, pissing in the wind, as the kids say. There's just nothing to it. So it's not going to move the needle at all. In fact, it's just going to do the opposite. So, the product of Surging Sparks, or the supply, is going to continue to get eaten up to the point where this thing's going to go parabolic. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see what happens on Pokemon Center. There's obviously a big chunk here, but the booster bundles are sold out. The three pack blisters are sold out. You have sleeve boosters, and I mean, right here you have your Stray booster box at $161.74. So if people want boxes, this is the cheapest price. So it'll be an interesting case study in seeing how much product Pokemon Center actually has and how quickly they sell out. And once this product's gone, I think you could see these boxes sitting in the 250, 300 range, and it's just going to be absolute mayhem. We don't have a full set coming out until March. Prismatic Evolutions, which comes out in January, it's going to be a small set, a half set. There's nowhere near enough product out there. So there's a lot of money, no place for it to go. There's a lot of folks who bought in Surging Sparks at $100, $125, $150 that are probably going to 2x the money, if not a little bit better here. So as those products get sold off and, the rip and shippers rip and ship, what do they do with the money? So, the obvious indication is, or the obvious answer is Prismatic Evolutions, but none of it's available. So, check that one off the list. Not going to fucking happen. So, we have to go to Pokemon Center. We can look at some of the different booster boxes here. The Silver Tempest of the world, that's probably due to disappear. The rest of these, not great. Not a whole lot of value here. Battle Styles, Vivid Voltage, they're too old to really matter, I think, at least as of right now. And quite honestly, I don't call this a bubble. This is an extremely healthy little bit of demand, but there's nothing that really started this. It's just you have a product that everybody wants at a time when everybody wanted it, and there's some momentum. I think the best value in the market right now is in these Pokemon Center ETBs. Twilight Masquerade, Stellar Crown, Shrouded Fable. The promos alone, the Teal Mask Ogre Pond's only going for about $20. But the Knockdown in Stellar Crown and the Petrunt in Shrouded Fable are both selling for in the $45 range. So you can buy them at 60, $63.20 or whatever the math ends up being with tax, and you can get them for MSRP. Right now they're all selling somewhere in the $70, $80 range. It's value, and I have a hard time believing that this number of Pokemon Center ETBs is going to be available anytime in the future. So, I'm buying a case of each one of these as I sell some cards off. I think I'm up to 15 or 16 cases each, and they're just sitting on the shelf. And at some time, we'll see what happens. I think the next question really comes down to Sword and Shield. Is there an impact there? There could be, probably not. But let's look at the best value here, and quite honestly, it's going to be in Paradox Rift, in my opinion. Paradox Rift still available on shelves at distro. PhD ran a sale at $87, which was absolutely insane. They've increased the price a little bit. These are available at Magazine Exchange for I think $93. So there's a bunch of this, and it's probably the last reprint. Once this gets chewed up, there's not a whole heck of a lot left. I mean, there's 407 boxes in the market. 407. It sold 231 in the last month. And again, we have this cyber weekend sale coming up here in 3 weeks, 10 to 13% off everything. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of product that gets moved and just disappears, gets put on shelves. So let's back up here. The other option is Stellar Crown. These boxes are still available to some extent from distro. You have some chase cards, some cards that are really awesome. You have the Squirrel, Bulbasaur. But ultimately, these cases are going to start moving. They're not going to be at $600 forever. Now, granted, there is a good chunk of supply in the market, 1,200 boxes here, but it's slowly moving. You look at 1 month, you've had 900 boxes move in the last month, and you have good volume. You're still averaging between 20, 30 of these a day. That's moving. Shrouded Fable. I think it's a little bit too early for this, for my liking. I'd like to see some dumps, which may not happen now. But, this is a product that everybody shits on. Nobody likes it that much, which, quite honestly, it's probably my favorite Pokemon Center ETB because nobody bought it. Nobody has a whole lot of interest in it. But again, Petron is the Pokemon Center promo, which is really, really cool. So I wouldn't sleep on that, but I wouldn't get into it now. And then the rest of this, you always have Scarlet and Violet base. There's a reprint of 151 coming out. But quite honestly, the options are limited. You're looking at Stellar Crown right around 100, 105, Paradox 100, 105, and everything else is batshit crazy. I mean, Temporal for the longest time was sitting at 100, 105. You have cases up over $700 now. Boxes are listed at let's see, you have 180 available. I mean, boxes are 120 plus. I mean, this is going to be the next set to 100 and 140. And then I guess you go to SV base. Not a huge fan of base sets. But when it comes to Pokemon, there's just not that much out there from a value perspective right now. And it's interesting to see for sure. So anyway, just wanted to talk through a little bit of where we're at in the market. Obviously, these three are huge value right now. But as these numbers go crazy on Surging Sparks, there's not a whole lot of other opportunity out there, not a whole lot of options for dollars to spread out. And, rising tide lifts all boats. The question is what boats are out there that haven't moved up already? And that's kind of where I'm looking next. So if you guys enjoyed this, like, subscribe, join the Discord. Thanks.